My friends, we're witnessing an unprecedented surge at our southern border. A massive caravan is racing towards America, desperate to cross before Trump's inauguration. Tom Homan, Trump's incoming border czar, is already facing death threats for promising to enforce our laws. But here's what the mainstream media won't tell you. With one phone call, Trump got Mexico to start securing their southern border. Meanwhile, sanctuary city mayors are in open rebellion, with some even threatening to go to jail rather than comply with Trump's deportation plans. California's gone so far as to threaten their own police officers who dare to cooperate with federal law. Speaking of defending our borders, patriots, Chuck Norris knows something about staying strong and vigilant. At 83, he's still kicking butt and taking names. In his shocking new video, Chuck reveals the one change that's kept him feeling decades younger. It's the same secret helping his wife feel 10 years younger, too, with more energy and a leaner body. Don't miss what this American legend has to share. It could change your life just like it changed his. Watch the exclusive video now at chuckdefense.com/next. This is a wake-up call that America needs. So, we have this now. Huge crowds of immigrants are heading towards the U.S. border before Trump takes office. This video here is from Mexico City. Look at this crowd. Here they are. I mean, it goes on. There's no end in sight. This is what is heading towards the U.S. border. Now, this video was published 4 days ago in Mexico City. So how much further have they already gotten? We don't know. But they are on their way. But there's something that's very interesting that's taking place here. Okay, here's more footage. Migrant caravan headed. This was published 6 hours ago. A migrant caravan headed to the border, hoping they make it before Trump is inaugurated on January 25th. Blonde Lady 2024 says, I bet you Soros is funding this. Look at all these people. Meanwhile, we have ICE loosening restrictions on migrants seeking asylum at the border right before Trump takes office. Listen.
The migrants would have to follow the asylum procedure. Basically, they wouldn't have to do the physical check-ins with Customs Border Protection. The former head of Customs and Border Protection is calling it obstructionist transition. Is there any effort by the current administration to kind of curb any of the immigration overhauls that Trump is likely to do?
I don't have any policies, new policies to speak to at this time. I just don't have anything. I would refer you to DHS for any specifics on that particular question. But if you're asking us if we are doing any policy changes, I don't have anything to announce. I laid out for one of your colleagues what we have been doing, especially since we moved forward with our executive action since in June, and anything specific about loosening of what's happening.
Okay, now here's the guy. Denver Mayor Mike Johnson says he's willing to go to jail to stop the Trump administration from deporting illegal aliens in his city.
Having their rights are happening that are
about civil disobedience. You've mentioned that a couple of times now. Would you be willing to participate in those as the mayor of Denver? Would you be willing to go out and protest these things?
I would. If I believe that our residents are having their rights violated, if I think things are happening that are illegal or immoral or un-American in our city, I would certainly protest it. And I would expect other residents would do the same.
Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan, has said that he is willing to arrest leaders like yourself for standing in the way of these policies that they want to enact. Would you be willing to go to jail for these things?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that. And I'm also not seeking that. I think the goal is we want to be able to negotiate with...
Hey, buddy, like, if you want to go to jail, I'm all for it. Lock them up.
Reasonable people how to solve hard problems. Republican and Democratic presidents in the past have all tried to find solutions to these problems. President Reagan helped people get access to work so they could stay and support themselves. Biden and Harris worked on restricting entry at the border to close down. There are a lot of ways to approach this problem. We don't think it has to come to this. But yeah, I think when you look at, Ralph Carr has always been one of my heroes. He was the governor who in the middle of the internment of Japanese Americans said this was the wrong thing to do. And he stood up. It was unpopular. People were mad at him about it. That was in the middle of wartime. If the president or any of his actors are going to do things that we think are illegal or immoral or un-American, we'll stand up against those.
It's funny he brings up the internment of Japanese Americans. Now, of course, that was in the middle of World War II. At the time, the Supreme Court actually upheld it. Okay. Now, I disagree with that. Those were legitimate American citizens. Okay. And I think that was wrong. In this instance, what they're talking about is getting all of the people who are here illegally. All right. And collecting them and then deporting them. It's not like a long-term internment situation. It's about extraction and removal. And the fact that he brings up the Japanese internment camps is ridiculous. It doesn't even equate. But that's what they do. Okay? Now, Rand Paul is now reacting to this Denver mayor. Listen.
Supremacy of federal, that the mayor of Denver, if he's going to resist federal law, which there's a long-standing history of the supremacy of federal law, if he's going to resist that, it will go all the way to the Supreme Court. And I would suspect that he would be removed from office. I don't know whether or not there'd be a criminal prosecution for someone resisting federal law, but he will lose. And people need to realize that what he is offering is a form of insurrection, where the states resist the federal government. Most people objected to that and rejected that long ago. So I think the mayor of Denver is on the wrong side of history, and really I think will face legal ramifications if he doesn't obey the federal law.
Rand Paul for the win. I mean, this Denver mayor, what's he doing? He's just appeasing the radical nut jobs in his party, right? That's all he's doing. Okay, he's going to go to jail and he's going to lose. Rand Paul for the win right there. Okay. So on top of all this, here's Governor DeSantis, who's issuing a warning. He will prosecute any local officials who refuse to comply with Trump's mass deportation orders. Listen.
Did it ever? But yes, if you have folks that are inclined to think Florida is a good place, our message to them is we are not a sanctuary state. Everybody who's asked for your vote for probably 10 years has said, we got to get rid of sanctuary cities. Did it ever happen? No. So we got it done. But yes.
Florida is not a sanctuary state, and we banned sanctuary cities during my first year as governor. Local officials have no authority to obstruct federal enforcement of immigration laws, and any who attempt such obstruction in Florida will be held accountable. It's safe to say that Holman won't have any trouble in Florida, but maybe they should be getting that prison cell ready for that Denver mayor. Meanwhile, in New York City, officials have started shutting down illegal migrant hotels. A migrant driver who transports other migrants from shelter to shelter says the migrants will keep doing it until Trump arrives.
Happening. Later in this episode, we spoke to two migrants responsible for driving other migrants from shelter to shelter in order to maximize their time staying in hotels as they continue to close. Are they closing this shelter? Is there news about them closing it?
Yeah, he escuchado algo.
So where are you looking to drive these people? Where are they likely to be going? They're leaving the shelter and they're going to a different one? What's happening?
Ellos los transfieren para otros hoteles, para otro lugar. Sí, por 30 días, por 60 días.
They're going for 30 or 60 days to another hotel.
Hasta que llegue Trump.
Until Trump comes.
Later in this episode,
Oh, yeah. Now, what's also interesting is this guy right here. This is the American immigration attorney Bradford H. Bernstein in New York. He is educating illegal migrants and their employers throughout America how to continue to break American laws and avoid mass deportations.
Rights. If ICE tries, do you know what you would do if ICE officers come to your place of employment? First, if you're the employer, you say, I am the employer. You cannot go to any area without my permission. This is a private workplace. If ICE continues to try to enter into your workplace, you say this, do you have a judicial warrant? Because if not, you are violating my rights. Encourage your staff, if they don't have a judicial warrant, to take videos of them violating your rights. If ICE tries to ask your employees questions, they don't have to answer. They can keep quiet. After ICE leaves, write down everything that happens. Your memory is short. Your employees should not panic. If they feel threatened, they can try to calmly leave without running away. And as long as nobody stops them, let them walk out the door. If they're stopped, they have the right to remain silent as well. If they're asked to stand in a group by immigration status, they should just stand randomly. They don't have to show any identification documentation. And all they should say is, I want to speak to my lawyer.
But you know what he didn't bring up? That, see, Donald Trump is planning on declaring a national emergency. And once you declare a national emergency, the rules change. I mean, we all know what happened during COVID, right? They locked everybody down. They shut everybody up. You know, they forced the mandates and the masking everywhere. Okay? So he's not taking that into account. And here we have, just a few hours ago, President-elect Trump may have largely fixed the border crisis with one phone call. He warned Mexican officials unless they took immediate action on border security, he would publicly expose their government's ties to drug cartels and impose massive tariffs on their exports and deploy U.S. Special Forces to dismantle cartel operations directly. The pressure worked. Mexico has since ramped up its border efforts, and the Sinaloa cartel has begun eliminating fentanyl producers in an effort to avoid becoming a target of Trump's aggressive policies. Biden and Harris never made the call. Now, here's this.
You think
this is Howard Lutnick? Okay, he is now, I believe, he's the Commerce Secretary, or the appointed Commerce Secretary.
Of course, it's a bargaining chip. We can't sell a Ford or GM in Europe. You go to Europe, you can't sell a Ford or GM. Why? There's 100% tariffs. How about in Japan? 100% tariffs. So do you think if we said we're going to tariff you the way you tariff us, do you think they're going to allow Mercedes and all these Japanese companies and Porsches and BMWs to all of a sudden have 100% tariffs in America? Of course not. They're going to come and negotiate, and their tariffs are going to come down. And finally, Ford and General Motors are going to be able to sell in these places.
How's that sound?
Of course they're going to come down. Of course. This is just negotiating.
It absolutely makes sense. If you do it strategically, if it's across the board, it creates a real problem. And the question is whether you believe the president is going to do it strategically or across the board. He keeps saying it across the board.
Well,
okay, so why this is important is because Donald Trump has announced one of his first acts as president will be to initiate a 25% tariff on all products coming in from Mexico and Canada. The decision comes in response to Mexico and Canada allowing crime and drugs to pour into the United States. And here we have my governor. Yeah, he is the paragon of health. Illinois Governor Pritzker wants all illegals to come to his state for protection. Are you going to house them at your hotels, Mr. Pritzker? Tom Homan is laughing his butt off and can't wait to topple this big blowhard. Juanita Broderick posting that just a few hours ago. President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, is warning sanctuary cities he will request DOJ authority to charge officials with obstruction and harboring if they refuse to hand over illegal border crossers in their custody. Migrant caravans on their way. And look at this. Liberal host Anna Kasparian sees the light. The Trump border policies were great. Yeah, see, some of them are coming around.
The Remain in Mexico and certain reversals of Trump-era immigration policies, which at the time I didn't give Trump credit for because he wasn't really applauded for it. And I didn't realize that, the Remain in Mexico policy was actually very successful. And Biden reversing it did lead to the crisis at the border that ended up being a political liability that backed him up into a corner. And suddenly he's hitting up Republicans in the Senate, asking them to write legislation that Republicans would like. So there are some flaws on the left for sure. And I think it's important to be real about those flaws. And
yeah, finally they're looking in the mirror going, wait a minute, maybe we were wrong about some of those policies. Here's more from Tom Homan.
This administration's turned this world upside down. So now I'm being attacked, right? I got death threats. My family's not even living in my home right now. So all of a sudden, the guys who want to enforce the law are the bad guys. The guys who break the law are the victims. And for those mayors and those governors who say they're going to stop ICE from doing their job, stop me from doing this job, listen to the Laken Riley tape. Listen to the 17 minutes of this girl suffering, fighting for her life, fighting for her breath. This little girl didn't want to die. She fought like hell. And listen to that tape. That happens every day across this country at the hands of an illegal alien. And finally, I'll say this. President Trump has made it clear. We're going to prioritize public safety threats and national security threats right out of the gate because they pose the most danger to this country. What governor or mayor doesn't want public safety threats and national security threats out of their neighborhoods, out of their communities? That's your number one responsibility. So you can hate Trump all you want, but you got to love your community more than you hate President Trump.
Wow. Strong words right there, but they ring so true. I can't believe this guy here. This guy's actually instructing people. Good luck, dude. Good luck with that. What else we have here? Okay, at the border, Eagle Pass, Texas. This morning, incoming Trump border czar Tom Homan will visit with Texas Governor Abbott. A large group of 200 crossed illegally yesterday.
Their own border. But first, live to Bill Malugin at the border, back at the border for the first time in 7 months. We start with Bill in Eagle Pass, Texas. Good morning there.
Bill, good morning to you as well. When Tom Homan arrives here tomorrow, he is going to be sending a message, and that message is that the Trump administration wants to be a partner for the state of Texas, not an adversary like we've seen with the Biden administration, which has essentially sued Texas every single time they've tried to secure their own border. Here in Eagle Pass, things have remained very active. Take a look at this video. This was shot right here yesterday by Texas state troopers, which encountered a large group of 200 illegal immigrants that just crossed here. Now, mixed in with that group, look at this, 60 unaccompanied migrant children, some as young as 2 years old. These are tiny little kids who are here with no adults, no guardians, being trafficked into the country by drug cartels and human smugglers. Some of them have little pieces of paper with addresses scribbled on them, places they want to go in the country to reunite with friends or family. And Texas troopers talked to some of these kids about where they're going. Some of the states we heard: Florida, California, Texas, New York, Missouri, Washington, Wisconsin, many others. And some of these kids included a 2-year-old girl. Yes, a 2-year-old girl, completely alone. She was from El Salvador, had a paper with an address on it, and she told Texas troopers she wants to meet with her family here in the U.S. Take a listen.
Venezuela, mamá. Venezuela. ¿Sí? ¿Qué tantos años tienes? ¿Dos años? ¿No vienes con tu mamá y tu papá? ¿No? ¿Venezuela? ¿Para dónde vas, mamá? ¿Dónde están? ¿Estados Unidos?
And mixed in with that group.
I can't take it. I can't take it. This has got to stop. And these people who are putting up all this opposition, I mean, they're only enabling those types of situations to happen, where these children are just being transported by the cartels, and it's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Oh, man. At the same time, we got all this. We got a huge caravan headed this way anyway. Elon Musk tweeting out 10 hours ago, Tom Homan is the Judge Dredd that we need. Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, is warning sanctuary cities he will request Justice Department authority. And then we have this guy. 8 hours ago, Amuse posted, insurrection. The state of California is threatening to take pensions and charge police officers with felonies if they comply with federal deportation laws.
State of California. This is Bill Wells. I'm the mayor of the city of El Cajon, and there's a lot of talk about sanctuary cities and the sanctuary state of California. I want to make it clear right now that El Cajon is not a sanctuary city. We're going to do everything we can to work with the federal government to help ease this immigration problem, help solve this problem. The problem we're facing in El Cajon is that state law, state of California law, says that if a police officer does his duty that we're asking him to do by complying with the federal government, that police officer can be charged with a felony and lose his pension. So that puts us in a really serious situation, because it basically takes frontline police officers and puts them in the middle of this political crisis, this political argument between the city, the state, and the feds. I just want you to know we're working on this problem. I'm getting legal opinions. I'm reaching out to organizations to help give us legal assistance in fighting the state of California. I'm going to fight the state of California tooth and nail over this. I want you to know that I am going to do everything I can to make El Cajon part of the solution of this horrible immigration problem and not be used by the state of California to circumvent federal law. One of the things that you could do would be to send emails to every assembly member and every state senator in the state of California and the state attorney general, Rob Bonta, and of course the governor, and tell them that you do not want to be part of being a sanctuary state and that you will rise up like the rest of the nation has done and throw these guys out of office if they don't comply. I need your help. Let's fight this thing together. Hey, this is Bill Wells. I'm the mayor of the city of El Cajon, and there's a lot of talk about sanctuary cities.
California threatening to take pensions. At least that guy appears to be trying to clean up the mess with a call to action there. But we're going to keep track of this whole thing. It's not going to end. Oh, and then we have this. We have this. Illegal aliens are fleeing Springfield, Ohio. Remember that? The Haitians?
Without any evidence, Trump's threat to carry out mass deportations is putting immigrant communities across the nation on edge. Take Springfield, Ohio, where Trump accused Haitian immigrants without any evidence of eating pets. Well, many are now leaving the city fearing deportation. CBS's Nicole Valdez spoke with a...
Okay, well, maybe they should. So the border crisis is exposing the radical left's true agenda, folks. While illegals rush our borders and sanctuary cities defy federal law, Trump has shown that real leadership gets results. One call to Mexico accomplished more than 2 years of Biden's deliberate chaos. The question every American should be asking: why are Democrat mayors willing to face jail time to protect illegal aliens over their own citizens? Drop a comment below on that and stand with border security by wearing our bold MAGAvengers gear. Yes, the MAGAvengers collection at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. These exclusive pieces make a statement that can't be ignored. America's sovereignty is non-negotiable. Join the movement while supplies last.